Man, folks, it's been a really, it's been a really sad couple of weeks. A pastor that changed my life 17 years ago, he recently passed away. And I'm going to talk about the pastors that ain't shit. I'm going to talk about those ones that ain't nothing, because at the end, I'm going to tell you what this pastor did versus what these people don't do. I've had the displeasure, and I say displeasure, of meeting many of these prosperity pimps that you see. Okay? I've had the displeasure of meeting most of these prosperity pimps as a little kid. These prosperity pimps, before they were larger than life, they used to guest preach at different churches. And back then, guest preaching at churches was lucrative, because these people, they wasn't larger than life. And when you were a pastor, and if you guest spoke at a church, you were building your brand. Okay, and also guest speaking, you could also ask the members of that particular church for an additional offering. And I never understood this as a kid. I never got it. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm 10 years old, and I never forget, man. I'll never forget. I got an ass whooping for this. I'm sitting here, and my mother and my father sitting there, and I said, Dad, why is it that every time these people, they come to our church, they ask for these large sums of money? I said, I don't understand it. Like, these people ain't even preaching no kind of scripture, nothing. They preaching, can I have some money? And how if you don't help them with what they trying to do, how God is gonna, condemn you and gonna take the money from you anyway. Like, that's what I heard as a kid. And I'm sitting there thinking, don't nobody else hear this? And I said, Daddy, like, why is it when these people come to here, they always say that, they need some large sums of money. They got to have all this money. They need it. And if they can't get this money, then, God going to punish us. I said, it seems like all they ask for is money. And my dad said, boy, shut up, boy. Shut up. And then, my mama heard this. My mama, back then, she used to be like, oh, man, Bible stomping. Kicking the devil in his neck type, Christian going in church, all up in that church. And my mama woke up. My daddy woke up too before he died. But they woke up. I had already caught the game. I caught the hustle. My uncle used to tell me, he said, man, look, he said, if these churches, if they ever do anything for the neighborhood, he said, then they legit. He said, but if it's a church in a neighborhood and the neighborhood look like absolute he said, the church ain't. So my uncle was already woke. Okay, he pretty much put me on game. He put me up on that. And I started looking, I'm like, dang, my uncle right. But I saw it. And I'm like, yeah, all they do is ask for money. Now, the pastor as a kid, he was a good man when I was a child. He tried to do stuff in the community. But, isn't there something? The damn people in his church, it was a Baptist church, they wouldn't help the man, try to build the church up, try to get stuff, they wouldn't do anything. But damn it, one of these prosperity pimps would come to town, and all of a sudden these people had the money. I remember Benny Hinn, man. It was a revival, man. And my parents made me sit through that bull. Man, Benny Hinn came. And I'm sitting there thinking, damn, where all these people come from? It was something like maybe over 1,000 people. And when I used to go to church, I only saw like 100. Man, look, it was 1,000 people at this revival. Benny Hinn came through asking for $500. And I said, Daddy, it's like 1,000 people. I said, that's $500,000. But shut up, boy, shut up. And it was people that, you never saw them at church, or the ones you saw at church, they always just claim they ain't got no money. Now all of a sudden, these people had money. Damnest thing I ever saw. All of a sudden, these people had money. It was a lady who used to always tell me she ain't got no money to pay her bills. I remember this black pastor I had, this dude, he helped, he got some money together to help this woman pay her bills, for the month. And then this woman had $500 in her hand. She took it out of her savings account and gave it to Pastor Benny Hinn. I'll never forget this. I said, look at this right here. Look at this right here. I said, damn. I'm saying in my head, this woman got $500 and be crying broke every month. And in my little head at 10 years old, how you going to explain this? How you going to explain this? I was thinking that as a little kid. But this is what happened. These are pimps. They pimps. And I said, man, this is a hustle. And then, when I became a teenager, I stopped going to church. I said, I'm not going. I'm not going. But before my dad died, he caught on. My dad caught on. My dad was still going to churches, and he was indoctrinated. And, I said, Daddy, this is a hustle. I said, they're pimping you, man. They pimping you. My mom caught on. She caught on. She got woke quick. When she really, really started to see what was going on in these churches, my mother was like, no, I don't need that to worship. And so I stopped really believing in going to church. I stopped doing that. But 17 years ago, one pastor changed my whole outlook. Okay? I was going through a tough time. And one of my friends said, hey, man, come check out my pastor, Pastor Gould. At the time, this gentleman right here. I was like, no, I'm not going to any church. I'm not doing anything. He said, man, just check him out. So I went, got the message, they do like normal churches do. They ask for offerings. All churches do that. That's nothing out of the blue. You pass the collection plate around, you put something in there, and vice versa. That's what a church does. But I noticed the offers, they weren't excessive. He wasn't asking for 6 offerings in one service. He was doing like a lot more preaching. Like he was actually preaching biblical. He wasn't jumping around and running around the church. And the man, he sat and it was a teaching. He was teaching. And that particular day, man, it was just, I had so much going on. I had just, I had to forgive a lot of people. 17 years ago, the doctor told me I wouldn't be able to do certain things anymore. But of course I do those things now because I'm a fighter. And, I go. I don't let anybody tell me I can't do something. Okay, I will figure out a way. And so I was just going through a time, man. And I remember, I'll never forget, he looked at me and he said, hey, as if he knew me. He said, hey, listen. He said, whatever you think you're going through, he said, I want you to read this. Gave me a scripture. And it was Isaiah 41:10 through 15, 43, 1 through 5. And that's the scripture of fear. He said, every time you think something go wrong, he said, read the scripture. Not only, moreover, the man gave me his phone number. And I'm sitting there like, what pastor? Matter of fact, he used to put his phone number to the congregation and give people the number. He would give the phone number out. And, you believe it or not, we had this large congregation. And the people didn't abuse his phone number. Matter of fact, nobody did. You only called him unless it was an emergency. And I never truly had to use the number. He said, hey, call me. Anything go down, you have problems, you call me. And shortly after that, I joined his church. Okay, never once, not once did he ask me to do something that I didn't want to do. Never once did he ask me for $1,000, $500. Not once. He would always say, hey, giving your heart, okay? And one day, he said, listen, and it was rare, he asked for an additional offering. He said, listen, we trying to do something here big at the church. And, I'm sitting here like, man, he finna do this. He said, listen, he said, guys, we're going to do something here really, really big. Well, at the time, I had no idea what he was doing, so I said, I ain't giving my money. Well, come to find out what Pastor did. He renovated some apartment buildings, okay? Renovated them, bought them. Low-income housing. He renovated these apartment buildings, every last one of them. Renovated them, gutted them, brand new, everything. Low-income housing for people that can't afford, rent. Can't afford basic utilities. Low-income housing. This man built low-income housing right beside the church. I mean, folks, we talking brand new apartment buildings. And at the time, back when he first announced it, I think you can go there and you can pay like $300 a month. You can pay $300 a month. Okay, you just have to show proof of your income, how much you really, really make. And then you could get like a voucher to pay $300 a month. Low income housing. They couldn't take it away. Okay, they wasn't going to go up on the rents. They wasn't going to do any of that. Those apartment buildings are still there, y'all. All this time later. And I felt bad because I didn't help this man build his vision. Okay? Next time he said, hey, and this was like a couple of years later, like 4 or 5 years later, he said, hey, I need a special offering. I just want to, guys, give what you can give. We're working on something. So this time I gave him $100. Do you know that he built a homeless shelter? A homeless shelter. Okay, they built the homeless shelter for the community. A soup kitchen. Where about 50 people, homeless people, can go and live. They even did stuff like job assistance. So the people just don't stay there and live. They give job assistance. They go out. They have people that go out with you, okay? They help you find a job, help you fill out a resume, give you clean clothes, clean you up, okay? And then they put you back out there in the workforce. And then they look for rooms in their low-income housing apartment, and they put those people in low-income housing apartment. Guys, that's what the hell the church's supposed to be doing. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Okay? That's what they do. That's what a church is that's how it's supposed to function for the community. Or then you have, like, he would go into these low-income neighborhoods. He would go into low-income neighborhoods. Give out book bags and all kind of stuff, man. Holiday time, this man going out feeding the homeless. Going out doing just stuff that churches do. And I'm talking about not people in his church. It was him. This man would get up, get in his car, okay? As a matter of fact, the car that he refused to go get a new car, this was an old, like 1999 car he had. Like, ridiculous, man. It took this man years to get him a new car. And he just wouldn't do it. He said, nope, this car's a good car. God provides it, so that's the car. Like crazy. He was crazy stubborn. Like, this man would go in, work his own soup kitchen, then preach to him, then go out, preach the gospel, like do all this stuff. This is what a church's supposed to do. And sadly, this man passed away. There were no scandals with this man. This man wasn't caught up. The one time I trusted this OG right here. And I'm going to tell you, when I trusted this OG, Robin Gould, I trusted this man because I had to go to his office. I had an appointment to go to his office to discuss some things, to try to get myself back on track. And so a woman was coming out of his office. And I said, oh, snap, this how Pastor roll? No. When the woman came out of his office, guess who came out of his office? His wife. I liked how this OG rolled. He made sure that there were no scandals. Anytime he had to counsel people, anytime he had to talk to any female, his wife was there. And if his wife couldn't be there, he didn't talk to him until his wife could be there. I liked this OG. I liked him, man. And when people had to come to the front and he want to pray for you, he would never, okay, now if his wife was next to him, he would do it. But most of the time, he would never, pray over a woman. He would put the women with his wife, and he would take the men with him. And his wife wasn't praying for no men, because he didn't play that mess. He didn't play that mess, You wasn't finna say that his wife touched you inappropriately, and you wasn't finna say that he was touching you inappropriately. This guy had everything so thought out to keep his name out of news, okay? Everything was sought. Everything he did, he thought it well ahead of time. And I respect this OG. I don't respect these guys, but I respect Robin Gould. I respect Robin Gould. I respect what he did. This man, started a K through 12 school. I was picking at him. I said, Pastor, damn, man, you got that car, man. Why you driving that car? He said, man, look, God provides for me. God provides. Okay, that car is all I need. I got what I need. And I said, man, why don't you just take the church salary you get and go buy a car? He goes, I don't take a salary. I said, come on. I said, Pastor, everybody take a salary. He said, I get a salary from the school. And he started this K through 12 school. Okay, started the school. He's a headmaster at the school. Okay, took a salary from that, wrote some books, made money off the books. Okay, it was like Robin Gould was this fantastic tennis player. Like, he was an amazing tennis player, and he would also do tennis lessons. That's how he made his money. And people can say, well, man, what if he was lying to you? Well, I can say this, okay? What if he was? But I tell you what, usually when a person, they lie a lot, usually there's scandals, there's allegations against them, it's all this other stuff. This man had none of that. None of that, okay? There were no scandals. There was no, things of him in the headlines of him embezzling money. It was none of that. This man was a straight up dude. He was a man of honor. That's the only church service I can sit in and say I can watch and listen to. That's it. These other guys, I can't do it. I can't do it. These people, a lot of these, allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, okay, they've covered up things, man, money laundering. Some of these people, they've covered up like crimes, murders. I mean, folks, the pastor game, pretty much, if you got the greatest pimp game, you can make the most money. Like here, Creflo Dollar was getting mad at his congregation because they wouldn't buy him a jet. And the man already got a multi-million-dollar jet, but he wanted like a $60 million jet? And this man makes some, $20 million a year? Like, man, it's crazy how much money these preachers make. It's crazy how much money these people make. They make millions a year. And the people sitting in the church, they just so dumbfounded as all. They dumbfounded as all get up. Because the people sitting in the church, they don't really understand the game. They don't understand the game. They don't understand the game of these pastor pimps. These guys are pimps. They're professional pimps. They just do it legally. So they can't get arrested for it. They can't get arrested for it. But every now and then, so you get some of these pastor pimps that they think that they're larger than life. They think that they're above the law. And so what do? They begin to break laws because they think, hey, I'm a pastor. They think I'm a pastor, okay? They believe, hey, because I'm a pastor, I ain't got to abide by these rules. I ain't got to abide by these laws. I ain't got to do nothing, okay? I can do what I want to do. That's how these people think sometimes. That's how they think. And, I'm just like, damn. Isn't that something, y'all? A person can go up and they can preach the gospel. They can do all of this stuff. But a lot of these people don't have to, they mess up on their money, their taxes, all of this stuff. Because it's a church. Churches classify as non-profits. So many loopholes that these pastors get around to how they keep most of their money. I said, damn. I said, ain't this a B? Ain't this a B? And the working person, you think you're doing a good deed by helping these people. You think you're doing a great deed by helping these people. But all you're doing is adding to their wealth, their generational wealth. That's it. And the only wealth they talk about is you giving your money. That's it. That's it. Isn't it funny they'll preach the gospel about prosperity, but then they don't want to preach the gospel. They don't talk to you about hell and condemnation most of the time. They'll talk to you about the devil, but then they won't talk to you sometimes about how to get your life right. Pastor Goo is one of those people, man. He wanted people to get their life right. He just wanted them to get their life right. Wanted them to get it right. But I respect him. So I respect the pastor that ain't got no scandals, that they're doing stuff in the community to help the people. You're not just sitting them in church and preaching to them and you don't see them. No. And two, another thing that I respected about this OG, I respected about this guy, man, before he got sick. Church was, to him, he was at church every day. Bro, it wasn't, he was at church on Sunday. No, this man was at church every single day. There was even Saturday church. Like, this guy was into what he was doing. Okay? Now, there was church service, real church service on Wednesday and Sunday. But then the other days, it was enrichment programs. It was tutoring. Okay? Free after-school care for parents. Like, folks, the amount of things that this man did in the community. And nobody ever talked about it because these prosperity pimps right here, okay, got all the news. Like, okay, these people are getting this much money, but nobody talking about what this man trying to do. Could you imagine if the preachers like this man right here could get the help they need? They can change the damn world. They could change the world. But sadly, the stuff that this man do don't get talked about, or the stuff that he did when he was alive, it don't get talked about because that kind of stuff isn't sensationalized. Nobody wants to hear that a person is going around doing good. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody want to hear that. And nobody want to try to, put into something that's doing good. Everybody like a good scandal. Everybody like that crap. Everybody. That's the only pastor that I respect in life. The rest of these pastors, they pimps, man. They pimps. They pimps. And many of them, like just the other day, a man killed his fiance or his girlfriend. Because guess what? She was sleeping with the pastor. And a lot of these pastors, they ain't got no filter. You go in, man, look, they will get your wife. They'll deal with your daughter. They'll run through your whole family, many of these pastors, and not care. And then they'll try to say that it was biblical why they did it. They'll put the Bible in everything. I mean, I used to be like, are you kidding me? Or you have pastors, like messing with young boys. Or you have pastors, messing with these young girls. And then they'll try to add biblical context to them. And then, isn't this funny? And it's funny, remember when Bishop Eddie Long had that situation with that boy? In the congregation, they forgave this dude. Are you serious? I don't care who he is. If that's my son, hey, we taking Eddie Long out. He leaving. You're in a position of power. And you manipulate these boys? You're in a position of power. You manipulate a man's daughter? Crazy, man. But this is who we respect. These are the real pimps. These are the real pushers. These are the real solicitors. These people.